This is Listening with Franklin Livingston, where lives are transformed through the power of listening, understanding, and creating room for healing within individuals, communities, and the world at large.
Friends, today I have with me Mady. Mike is from Canada, but I met him in Bangkok, Thailand. We met at a summit, and it was such a pleasure to meet with him and his wife. And Mike has been a missionary here, working with underprivileged children and families. And I'll let him tell more about his work here and how he ended up in Thailand.
Okay, so thank you very much for having me here, Franklin. So let me just first let you know how we came to Thailand, because it's a unique story and a story you probably don't hear every day. So me and my wife living in Canada, we had two pretty good paying jobs. We were just doing life. We had just recently bought a home. We were locked into a 5-year mortgage. In 2008, we again we were locked in a 5-year mortgage. 2008, it was near Christmas, actually Christmas Day, and we were ready to go to my mom's for Christmas dinner. My mom lived right across. She was like our neighbor. Now we didn't buy our house because my mom lived there. We just bought our house because my sister owned it, two previous owners before, and they own a construction company, so they told us everything that they did in the house. So we knew how the house was built. And so before we went over there, I went in the bedroom to get my wife, asked her if she was ready. And she was dressed, ready to go, but she was laying on the bed. And I shared this story in different churches and stuff like that. So I'm going to tell it like I told it back then. So when I came into the bedroom and I looked at her on the bed, it looked like there was no life in her face. That's the best way I can explain it. And so when I went over her, it was just like emptiness, right? And so I picked up the cordless phone, that's how long ago it was, and I proceeded to call 911. So I'm leaning over her and I'm calling, and I just see her hand just come and hit the phone out of my hand, and it goes, on the floor in the room. So I go retrieve the phone, and I don't call 911 again. I call my mom. And I said, you need to come over here right away. Right away. And my mom got over real quick. But before my mom came, I looked at my wife, and it was like, again, this is how I share it. This is the experience that I had. It was like life went back into her face, into her. That's just the way I can explain it. And if my wife was here explaining it like she has when we had the opportunity to share this, she would say it was like I was going home to heaven. Now, for whatever reason, I don't know how this happened, but anyways, so the next thing out of my mouth, now remember, we're just doing life involved with the church, two good paying jobs. So the first thing out of my mouth, without collecting my thoughts and then speaking, the response was, I'm done with everything, we're going to the mission field. That was the response. Wow. And from that point forward, we made the intentional moves to go to the mission field. There's a story behind how it was Thailand, what we did prior. Yeah, if you want to get into those, I don't know, but that was, that was the beginning of the journey.
So let me ask you this. So you had a clear understanding, if I understood correctly, of mission and being a missionary in mission field work. So how did that develop? Did you grow up in a Christian household, or you had some sort of influence of people who used that language or concepts?
No, so my younger ages, I lived in a house that was Catholic, not really practicing, going to church on Sunday and stuff like that. That's what I grew up with. That so I became more. How can I say it? I became knowing Jesus in an incident in my life that happened in my 20s. So if you want me to go into that, I can go into that.
Yeah. But let's talk about your childhood first.
Okay.
So every household even secular households have some sort of belief system. Wash your dishes, clean up
Sure,
your
yeah.
room,
Yeah,
don't use curse words, right? Or don't hit another kid at school.
right.
So even if you grew up in a nominal Catholic church or Catholic home,
Mhm.
would you say your parents were good people, they were hardworking Canadians, or what kind of values they gave you, or I don't know if you have siblings and raised?
Mhm. So a lot of my younger years, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, I don't really remember much. My biological father, I never saw him kiss my mom, hold hands. They divorced. I was probably very young, 9 years old, maybe 10. My mom remarried, and he was a hardworking man. He had to provide for 8 children, and uh, he instilled values of clean your room. We're going to take turn washing the dishes. The guys, my 2 other brothers, so I have 2 other brothers and 5 other sisters. We're going to go bring the garbage out every Monday or Tuesday, whatever it was. We're to cut the grass. We're to help them in the yard. So I grew up like that. There wasn't a lot of um, one-on-one time because they're so busy, so many children, right? So there wasn't a lot of that. I just recall some time that, we would go to my dad's, I call him my dad, he's my stepdad, but he's my father. To his parents' cottage in a small town called Port Stanley. And I remember those times, because I felt very, because my parents weren't doing the 9 to 5, right? So they had more time, and we would just hang out, and just have fun and enjoy the water, enjoy the beach and stuff like that. Maybe have a tent pitched outside in the sand and stuff like that. So those were really special moments for me personally.
That's great because okay, so the part of Canada I have visited, and it's only one part. It was really harsh winter. So I can't imagine having a beach in warm weather
Yeah,
in
sure.
Canada.
Yeah, right. But so the summertime, right? June, July, August, right? That's beach weather and stuff like that. Where the beaches get pretty busy. But yeah, it was good, and that was special times, like I said, with my mom and dad.
That's great. So you already grew up in a household that was well put together in simple words. Even if you did not witness an affectionate or visibly affectionate relationship between father and
Yeah.
mother, still there were values, some belief system that how to be good people or how to live uh, in harmony, in love, because love can be defined differently, but in harmonious and loving relationship, and that's why you then became more close to your mom. I'm assuming that even when you bought your home, you were just across the street
Yeah,
from her,
yeah.
right?
Yes.
So, how was the educational side of Canada? Uh, the schooling and the environment, was it very caring, loving, uplifting, or bullying, getting bullied, or breaking you down type?
No, I think so. For my grade school years, I was at a Catholic school. It was, a normal school that, sure, kids picking other kids, it wasn't as, the bullying to me wasn't, I never got bullied. I wasn't a big kid. I never really got bullied. I really never felt I got bullied. When I went to high school, maybe the bullying was a little bit more. I dropped out of high school, in grade 9. There was a teacher strike. And so it was like a few months. Once they announced the teachers were going back to school, so kids were going to be expected to go back to school, me and my brother went to the mall.
No.
We didn't go to school, and we didn't realize that when we came back home, the time that we were supposed to come back, we didn't realize that the principal called every single household that they didn't come. Is your kids coming back? And my mom asked, how was school? It was great. You liars.
Yeah.
And so my mom said, and she pleaded with us to go back to school,
Mm.
but we never did.
Mm.
Later on, years later, I went to college to get my grade 12 equivalent, and then I entered into electronics course in college. But my mom said, if you don't, no, first she said, if you would do anything for me, go back to school. We didn't.
Mm.
She said, you go get a job. So you talk about instilling values, right?
Wait.
She should go get a job. So we got a job. My dad, so my biological father, his two brothers had a produce company, a wholesale produce, fruits and vegetables, frozen food. So we went working there, and it was hard work. And after years later, I look back and go, I wish I would have stayed in school. Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
But apart from this wish, which I can relate, but so when your mom said go back to school, yeah, coming from a Catholic background, even if you were not practicing Catholic, because I hear a lot that people who come from, I came from more closer to Catholicism or Anglican version. And so we have the same guilt. We all struggle with that because that's something I don't know built in by default.
Right, yes.
We feel more guilty than other people. So do you ever feel that, oh my God, I disobeyed my mom? It's the fifth commandment or something, or no?
Yeah, it was a quick decision, but looking hindsight, you're like, my mom, not that just that she knows, this is my mom. And the words out of her mouth were, if there's anything that you would ever do for me, go to school. And yet we didn't. Sure, have I thought about it throughout the years? Absolutely. Have I ever asked my mom for forgiveness? Absolutely. Absolutely, I have. Because my mom was right. My mom was right.
Yeah.
So,
And I really want to say this to the particular group of young people that a lot of times they think, I've been there too, that no, our parents don't know. We understand better because, we got it all figured out, and their mindset is so old, we are modern, and every generation thinks that. And maybe it's wiser to just take a pause and consider whatever they are saying, because they have their baggage, their experience, they have lived life, and there's some sort of truth and wisdom hidden in the things they influence you to do.
well, they went through it, right?
Yeah.
And they don't, it's like, me with my children, I hope that you can take some of my advice because I've been through it. I don't want you to go through the same thing. And it was, yeah. And my mom was right, she, right? Looking hindsight, she was right, absolutely. And maybe that I was looking for a way to get out of school because I didn't really enjoy school. I didn't really enjoy high school. I was really good in math. I wasn't great in English, but everything else was boring. It really was. Just boring.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. That's like I hated biology.
Oh,
That
did you?
was,
Yeah.
like,
I never even did biology.
I mean, we had to in our system. We had
Okay.
to study biology. I hated it, and I had some sort of pressure. Thankfully, not that large, where I just went nuts. It was still there, though. That you should consider being in school. Because again, the idea was if you become a medical doctor, you have a steady income, end goal, how much you're gonna make and all that. And if you want to know more like arts and crafts and music and theater and all that, then you're just like doomed.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So then you went to college. So what happened in those? How old were you? When
So
you,
I was older. I think I was in my late 20s, early 30s.
So what about your teenage era? For some people, it's very challenging. Some people, it's like that's the era everyone struggles with.
Yeah.
That's why some TV channels or streaming services make episodics on that era and make millions and millions of dollars. Right? So how was it for you?
So, I remember my teen years. Like, I remember most of my life starting at probably around age 13. Just again, school. When I reached 15, 16, when I got my driver's license at the age of 16, so I said, as soon as I turned 16, I'm getting a driver's license, I'm getting a car. And I did. I got my first Mustang there, and I was a handful. And I partied. I was first to the party, last to leave. You know, I was in a couple of relationships, not a lot, not a lot. I was more focused on the party, you know, and I really was, you know. And I think, not I think, I know in hindsight that I wanted to fit in. I wanted to be accepted. I wanted to be loved. I wanted to paint this picture of who I wanted you to think I was.
And if I may interrupt and ask, why?
I maybe, not maybe, I probably felt inadequate, or in my teen years, I'm a misfit.
But where did you get that idea from? At home, TV? Somebody has to tell you. It's like, I'm gonna go like broader in the political
Okay,
themes.
yeah, sure.
Racism as an example. Somebody, it could be an institution, tells you that unless you're a blonde and light skinned, you're not handsome, or you're not pretty. If you want, like, there's a, well, you got to be like this as a Barbie makes
Sure,
the standard, as an
yeah.
example,
Yes.
or Ken or
Yes,
whatever. Right?
yeah.
So where were you getting all that from? And if you were comfortable, what decade? Like, I don't know your age, but when was it when you were driving Mustang and partying and all this?
So I was born in 1960.
Oh wow!
So in 1976, I turned 16, got my Mustang. So the 70s.
Golden era.
Yeah, right.
Because there was one of our professors. I forgot. I think he originally is from the Michigan, or he lived there. So I think I heard once he said that was for men. That was the golden era, like driving a Mustang, and it was a symbol of masculinity.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
So, oh wow, okay.
And you know where I got this from, this idea of, you know, maybe I don't measure up. I honestly can't tell you. I don't believe I ever heard it from my mom or dad. I think they were encouraging. You know, maybe I wanted more time. Maybe I don't know, you know, but I was a handful. I mean, I didn't, you know, as I, 16, 17 years old, my mom would get calls from the police department. We have your son down here, DUI, caught with drugs, you know, and stuff like that, right? And my mom was not very happy with these calls, obviously, right? But that's the kind of what I grew up. Maybe I was seeking attention, you know? But it was, I know that I put my mom through a lot. Sleepless nights, you know? Maybe I was the worst kid, you know, the black sheep of the family. I didn't want you to tell me what to do. That was difficult for me. You know, I don't want to be told what to do. So you tell me what to do, I want to do the opposite. You know, just interaction with police officers. You know, I was upstairs at my brother's house partying, and somebody said, "Mike, you're getting a ticket." Back then, it was a $2 parking ticket because I was parked wrong. $2.
But $2, the value of $2 was around 20 today, or
Maybe more.
oh,
Maybe more. And so I said, what? Because I already had this perception of police officers already. So I went there and go, oh, no, you're not. And I've been drinking and doing drugs. I went down there. And I go, what are you doing? You're parked here. Oh, so you're giving me a ticket? Yeah. Well, what are you going to, oh, and I go, I said to the cop, I'm going to move it. He looked at me, go, okay, move it. And so I got in, I drove around the block, and my house wasn't far from my brother's, across this park called Lansbury Park. So his house was here, and way over here in this park, my mom's still where I lived at home, right? My brother was already moved out. I drove around, I came around to park, because there was only one-way parking. Like, I just told the cop I'm moving and parking, and I took off. And all of a sudden, when I was ready to park, these red lights came behind me, you know? And I looked, and I'm telling you the story, exactly what happened. I looked and I go, wonder why they're pulling me. Telling you. So he pulled over, I backed in, and then he came to the window, and he goes, and I already gave him my driver's license over at my brother's. He goes, can I see your driver's license? And I'm looking everywhere for them. And he goes, "You are messed up."
Mm.
So they call a paddy wagon for me to go in and go downtown, and it was just that I will show you to the police officers, and I could have just said, okay, I'm going to go back upstairs, but this something I just went beyond. And that was kind of how I did things. That was kind of how I reacted to things like that. Oh, no, you're not.